is international recording artist Bif Naked. She's an author, she's a mentor, she's a humanitarian, and she is here today to talk about her new single, Broke Into Your Car. Welcome.
Hi. Gosh, I miss you. It's so nice to see you as always, Christine. I appreciate having the opportunity to have a Zoom call with you. I mean, thank goodness. I mean, it saves us.
It does. And you know, I watched your video, and congratulations. And I'm interested in knowing, like, what was the process like?
Well, you know, the lucky thing for me is that we've always been able to put different styles of songs on each record as the years have gone by, and this new record is no different. So a year ago, when we were working out the music for the songs, and which almost always on this record has come before the lyrics, whereas it seemed to be more of a mixture on previous records. But yeah, the song is, it was very dancey. It was very exciting. As soon as we heard it, we had the melody, you know, and it's easy for me to write melodies to what Doug and Snake write. I just write a counter melody to what they have done, and it always seems to work out. And even though it kind of describes criminal offense, it's just, you know, metaphor. So don't break in anybody's car, everybody. But it's about, you know, the spirit of having a crush on someone. So you kind of want to, you know, put your signature, leave little breadcrumbs for them to find. And that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah. So it's about love, and it's about young love, if you will. And it's raining, so you feel this attachment in the car. And it creates that setting that was done for a reason, right?
Yes, definitely. And it is. I mean, cars are very intimate places. You know, people can really. It's like your only place to be alone nowadays, and safe, if you will. So yeah, it's very intimate to be in someone's car. Certainly if they don't know you're there, it's like, yeah, it's very intimate. So it's definitely a love song.
Yes, and you leave your portrait or your photos behind.
Yeah.
You know, you let your imagination run wild. And I like the part you're starting slow, like it's in pace, right? It's like you're starting slow driving, and then it goes backwards. So what was the intention of that?
I would have to credit Doug Fury for that. He does all the video direction for us. He directed Jim, and of course he directed this lyric video. And I think that, you know, it's like essentially going back to the beginning. You know, like almost like in any song, we repeat the chorus, for example. So we go back to that same theme. And to be able to drive away in someone's vehicle, you know, it's like it's going back to the beginning. I keep telling him, because he returns the car in the end, but he says it's more of a feeling of going back.
Yeah, it looks like you had a lot of fun, and yeah, and how long did it take?
Oh, well, again, it's, you know, Doug is like always such a genius. He always puts in so many hours in post-production. So even though, you know, something like a scene of driving a car is very easy, you know, it's you can set up your camera and basically just compile the footage. But for him, it's always in post-production that takes the longest time, of course. And he is a meticulous perfectionist when it comes to editing. So it did take him a lot of time. Not as much time as Jim, of course, because that was an entire scripted scene with multiple people in it. So that it was easier in that regard, but it took him a long time.
Yes, and it was shot in Toronto, right? And I was trying to look for the signs, you know. But
absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, what's the feedback been like so far?
People seem to really like the song. And again, it's a dance song, just like other songs we've done in the past that have been dance songs, like Spaceman was a dance song, and then the remix came out, which was even dancier, and there've been lots of remixes of other singles in the past. But I think that people are always surprised with every single that we have coming out. Like, we are currently in the studio today working on a thrash metal song, which is definitely
Wow.
not for the radio or the faint of heart. But again, it's, you know, it's the luck that I've always had of just being able to just seamlessly kind of be able to go in and out of different genres. So
Yes.
Bif Naked fans tend to really respond very well.
Well, you're certainly a role model, and you know, you have such a, I mean, you're writing, like you write poetry, and like that's like storytelling. Like you're, you know, a storyteller as well, and you know, yeah. And where do your ideas come from? Like, you know, with Jim, like how, where do you find your place to get your inspiration from? Is there a particular room, or do you like?
Well, I think that, like, Jim, for example, was the whole song was written around the line. One line was "You never loved me," and it's basically the end of a relationship. You know, when you realize that person didn't really care about you anyway, and it's usually the final straw for most of us in any relationship that doesn't work. And so it kind of started there. But that song was, you know, when we were writing it, it was like, it was very dramatic. It's very vaudevillian, the whole song, and performing it live is also like a Broadway show. It's not a simple little song. It's very dramatic, and the feeling is very dramatic. Whereas "Broke Into Your Car" is really a lot more fun. It's fun and it's mischievous, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be that serious. And a lot of the songs on the record are like that. We have a song about roller skating that's coming up in a single, and another song about refugees, which is very, very serious. And I think that anything and everything usually inspires songwriting.
Yes, and you, I remember you were saying everyone has a gym, you know?
Oh, yes, everyone has a gym for sure. Everyone's been in a relationship that has been bumpy or has kind of disintegrated, you know, for whatever reason. And we can all look back at those relationships and see all the red flags that we let slide by. I mean, the saying goes, hindsight is 2020, and it's so true.
Yes, and you know, Viv, what made you decide to release the song now?
We had been waiting for a year. So when we put Jim out, for example, we anticipated following Jim up in May with "Broke Into Your Car," because these songs have been finished for 2 years almost, because the record Champion was intended to be released last year. But with everything that was happening with the pandemic, and things seemed to just get worse and worse as the months of 2020 went along. And then, you know, once the summer came, you know, there was a real revolution that was taking place just in social justice and anti-racist movements that were just more important than my stupid record. And like, literally, that's what I thought. How can I honestly put a record out? Like, I just thought it doesn't make sense to me, because I personally was more interested in what was going on in the world than in promoting, you know, my songs. I felt that it was absolutely insignificant for me to add that to the world. People had enough to think about and more important things to think about. So then we thought perhaps in the fall we might consider releasing the song from May, which was supposed to be "Broken Your Car." And then things kept going in a certain direction, and I was very focused on different things, you know, just what the world was going through, and what everyone was going through, and here in Toronto, what was happening. So it just didn't seem like the timing, it didn't fit me. And so we waited, and we were going to do a show on December 30th. And that's
Yes.
when we were going to release the song. as a surprise for all the viewers. And of course, then we went back into a lockdown in Ontario. So the December 30th show had to be postponed. And I just thought, well, let's put the song out on New Year's Eve anyway. You know, it's a dance song, and you know, holding on to it is not going to serve the song or anybody else. You know, New Year's Eve came with a high price in a way, because no one could really get together and celebrate, except doing, you know, Zoom parties and stuff like that. So that's why we decided to put the song out on New Year's.
Yes, and you know, it's about timing too, and listening to what feels good. And this song is needed. You know, it's
good. Yeah, it's so fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this is your 11th album, is that correct?
I think so. I can't remember. I think it might be, I don't know. Yeah, it might be 11th and then 10th studio record. I can't remember anymore. And it's been a long time since I put out a record, because again, you know, I always just kind of felt like there were more important things happening in the world than me putting out a record. And so I think that still holds true this year. But we're getting prepared to put out another single, and hopefully it'll feel right to finally put Champion out.
Yes, but you're doing it right now. Like, there's Jim broke into your car, and then
that's right. Yeah, we have our finished 10 songs, but then we accidentally wrote 6 more, and then now we're like tinkering with some of the original songs and yanking 2 of those off and adding these other 3. And you know, one thing for sure is that having the extra time to kind of mess around with what we thought was a finished product is both a blessing and a curse, because between the 3 of us, we can mess around with the record for another year or 2 years, because they're really, you know, it's for us, and I want to share it when it feels like it's the right time.
That's wonderful. And you know, like, it is like, and I'm happy that it's out, you know, your latest single. And you know, you're such a pleasure to interview all the time. Like,
it's always a pleasure to talk to you also.
You know, I just like, and you do so much for others. Like, you know, you're not only humanitarian, you're a breast cancer survivor, you're just a role model, as I said earlier. And, you know, and is there anything else? You're doing live sessions, is that correct?
We did our very first live sessions show. It was last Saturday, and that was the first time we'd ever done anything like that, and we loved it. And the best part about it was that I did my very first meet and greet on Zoom. There were 60 people. And it was amazing. We had such a nice time. It was so much fun. And I think that we're going to find a way to incorporate that more regularly, and not necessarily surrounding shows. So it was a great awakening for me to realize that was something that could happen on a more regular basis. And it's just been fun. And so far this year, despite Ontario going into an extension on the lockdown and whatnot, we're still working, and we're still being creative, and anticipating that we'll be able to tour again.
Yes, that's wonderful. And you know what? You'll probably do, well, Ashley, I should ask you, will you keep doing it, like the Zoom, after the pandemic is over?
I think so. Like, I really enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
That's great. And I think everyone does. I think that it's really changed the way people communicate. And that goes for everything from even the news feeds, you know, news on television and stuff. So it's really been interesting. It's been an interesting year. And I'm sure that the people who create websites like Zoom and all of these video conferencing websites are very happy. They must be.
Yeah, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be interviewing you. And it's like,
yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Bif?
I just think that a lot of my friends, both professional friends and personal intimate friends, I think everyone is hitting a bit of a wall as far as kind of feeling just emotionally drained
Mm.
from trying to suck it up and trying to be positive with all of the news that keeps happening. And, there's variants and the vaccine rollout's been slow. And I think people are becoming a bit crestfallen about the whole process. And I just keep saying, stay positive. And, this time of year, we have to thank not only doctors and nurses and teachers and janitors and hospital volunteers, but we have to think of, all of those people working the city streets and the snowplow drivers and all of the street workers, keeping the streets clean. It's a bad time of year. There's lots of snow that's going on, and people still get their garbage collected. All these people are still at risk every day, working hard and working long hours.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and with International Women's Day coming up, is there a message that you like to give?
We can do anything in this world. We can, and we still are striving to do more and more. And it seems slow and it's daunting. And there are certain countries that are doing better for women than other countries are. But hopefully, our government can start seeing things with a little more of a lens that is more helpful to women. I always hope for that. So hopefully every year we make a little more progress.
Yes, wonderful. And thank you very much for, being on the show again. I so appreciate your time, and congratulations on your latest single. And I want to have you come back again,
Anytime. It's always a joy to catch up with you.
Yes, you are amazing, Bif. And, I'm just, we need music in our lives even more. And so you're studying it, you're doing it. And so.
Thank you. I'm trying.
And you become a TikTok star. So
yeah, it's such an interesting experience for me, because I think what happened was I just decided to just make something useful out of TikTok. I mean, everyone has used it for different various reasons, right? Whether it be just random tomfoolery, or they just find some other creative ways, because the platform's so different, right? Because how with YouTube you have unlimited amounts of creative ways you can do things to produce a video, but with TikTok you only have 1 minute to present something. You have 1 minute max.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the premise of it. So I decided to come up with the idea of how people can learn how to play songs on a guitar in just under 1 minute. And that it was just something I just casually thought of, but I never knew it would pick up so fast. And what encouraged me was that a few of my friends who we follow each other on TikTok, one of my friends, Becky, she said to me, "I really like this series. You should keep going with this." And I thought, all right, why not? Yeah, well, why not? And so I decided to just go forward with that and just create some more videos on how to play these songs in its entirety in just under 1 minute, because a lot of songs, they just play the same chords over and over again, and you can go on autopilot if you want, and it turned out really good. And there's like a good handful of songs that do that. And sometimes I would come across some ideas, whether it be going through my cover bands catalog list, or I would even hear a song on the radio and I'd be like, oh, right, I forgot about that song. Okay, I'll teach that one on my TikTok as well. And so it creates such a really great buzz that it got to the point where I had like other podcasters interview me as well, like some that are not from this country. I had American podcasters that interviewed me. I've even had I even but then I also recently had coverage from Burnaby Now, which I was just like, wow, this is so just so cool, just being able to get this kind of coverage. And again, this was something that I just did not expect to happen in such a short matter of time. But someone explained to me it was because people want to learn things, especially musicians. They do want to Either if it's like a beginner musician that just wants to learn a song because they're just starting out, or maybe it's a cover artist who just wants to build their set list once live music becomes a thing again. You
Mhm.
know, it's like, yeah, here's some easy ones for you that you can learn in just a short matter of time and just go from there. And I could not believe the type of impact it makes on people. But I've also utilized TikTok recently to play piano. So I would just like play little little snippets of popular songs on piano, and then what TikTok does is that it has this duet feature where a singer can just click on a duet feature and then they record themselves singing along to my piano playing.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's so much
which
fun.
which actually circles back to what I was doing originally, which was piano karaoke night, and also, of course, with my cover band, we've done live band karaoke night as well. And so this comes in full circle in that kind of way, which is almost like a substitute virtual version of that kind of
Yeah.
experience for the time being. But I think people are really enjoying that feature as well, and so at least that's the way for me to jam with not only our local singers here in Vancouver using that app, but just connecting with different people even across the globe as well, like different singers who may have similar interests who love that song. And they're like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta sing that one with this guy." And so I get some really cool singers out there who just sing along to my piano videos, and I was just really happy to see such a connection being made, you know. And I think we're at this point now where we're trying to create this really awesome online community of music lovers.
That's wonderful. And will you keep doing it when the pandemic is over?
Oh yes, you bet I will. I think because like I'm seeing so much results of just people connecting, you know, like worlds colliding in such a positive way. You know, it's you know it would be a shame that if the once everything reopens again and goes back to normal, you know, that it just goes away just like that. I really feel like this is something that can elevate us to a whole new level, in not just in terms of community members of the music scene following each other, but just being able to know, wow, now you have people out there in, you know, Brazil or in Europe or in Australia, New Zealand who love what you're doing.